Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be, She Wants a Manly Man. I've got an email here from a guy. I've done some email coaching with him in the past. And in his latest email update, he's been dating this woman. He's been out with her 2 times. And part of the problem that he had, like when I addressed him in his first email, is he was kind of dithering, hesitating, not getting around to the point, asking a woman out. He had his first email, he had a couple women he was interacting with, and one of them he was doing everything right with. And then he had another one, and both these women knew each other. The other one, obviously he liked her a little bit more, and so he started putting her on a pedestal and being a little too nice and waiting for her to make the move and do everything, set the dates, make the move physical, and those kinds of things. So I've got a quote that I wrote on this particular topic, and I'm going to go through his email. Because when I read this, like, these are the kinds of things that I used to do. And I actually have a situation that I had where it reminds me of a girl I knew from high school that I ended up running into. This is like, I think it was 21, 22 years old. I was 10 in bar at the time, going to college. She and I were really great friends, but she had a boyfriend in high school, and I always thought she was cute, but she had a boyfriend, and I was friends with her boyfriend, so I never even considered dating her. And then I ran into a mutual friend of ours, who, 3 of us used to hang out and have lunch together every day. It was me and these 2 other girls, and I was good friends with both of them. And the other one who I was also good friends with, we ran into each other randomly, and she says, "Oh yeah, she was totally in love with you," and I'm thinking. And I didn't know what I was doing back then. Like I said, I was only 21, 22. And she's like, "Oh, she had the biggest crush on you in high school." And that didn't compute. I never even thought about that because she had a boyfriend the whole time. And he was a cool guy. And, she used to talk about all the sex they used to have and everything. And she seemed very happy to me. I didn't know what I was doing back then. And then to find out 4 or 5 years later, this girl had the biggest crush on her, I was like, really? And so she put us in contact with. I don't even remember how it happened. It was so long ago, but we went out a couple of times, and I remember she came over to my place. She came into where I was tending bar. I think we had drinks, and then she came over to my place. And I remember she was like, she had something in her contact or in her eye, and I just remember like being over on top, over top of her, and I was like trying to find whatever was in her eye or whatever, and I'm like literally this far away from her face, and it's like if I'd have known then what I know now, I would have kissed her and we would have fucked right then and there. But I was like sitting around waiting for some kind of signal or some kind of invitation to do something. And like I said, we hung out, I think it was like 3 different times. I never kissed her. I always gave her a hug. And it's like I just didn't know any better. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And the opportunity was there. And then I was like, I remember Valentine's Day was coming up, and I sent her flowers, and I was like something, "Hey, will you be my Valentine?" I remember saying that, and then she's like, "Hey, well, there's this other guy at work, and I've known him for a while, and, we just started going out, and things are really progressed, so I'm going to start dating him, but it'd be really great if you and I could just stay friends." And I remember thinking to myself, well, I'm not going to, she's like, "Well, you can still call me to hang out." I'm thinking, she's like, "You don't want to hang out as friends?" And I was like, "That's not really what I'm looking for." And she was kind of pissed about that. And I never spoke to her again after that. And I think she ended up marrying that guy, and they lived happily ever after or whatever. But it's like when I look back on it and I read emails like this, it's like I want to bust this guy's balls. But it's like I was doing the same stupid shit when I was his age. So the goal is for him to have great experiences when he's basically the same age that I was. And that's why one of the reasons why I do what I do, so people don't have to go through all the mistakes and all the missed opportunities that I missed out on when I was younger. So I got a quote, and then we'll go through his email and see where we can help him tweak his game. And so the quote says, "Sexual polarity is created when a masculine man interacts with a feminine woman. Sexual polarity dissolves and dissipates when a masculine man acts more like a woman instead of a man. This also applies to lesbian, gay, and bisexual relationships. Sexual polarity and attraction evaporates in any type of adult sexual relationship when partners do not behave congruently with their natural masculine or feminine essence. Sexual polarity is created by the differences between masculine and feminine essences and neutralized when they become too similar. Masculine energy involves being direct, decisive, being bold, taking risks, breaking through barriers, being strong, overcoming challenges, purpose, drive, mission, succeeding, accomplishing, etc. Which you can see the example that I was sharing, this girl that I knew from high school. She put herself into my orbit. We were hanging out together, and I just dithered and hesitated. I was looking for a sign or a signal, and she had a lot more experience in relationships than I did. She had a boyfriend in high school that she was fucking all the time, and I had only had sex, I think, with one girl at that point. I lost my virginity when I was 21, and I had no clue what I was doing. And so she could recognize right away that I didn't get it, and this other guy that she worked with, that she ended up getting serious with, and did. And that's why she chose him over me, even though she had this huge crush. And so when she got to see what I was really like, other than just the fact that we were friends, and I just never hit on her or even thought about it. I thought she was really cute, and she had a nice figure and everything, and she was really cool, and we got along great, but she had a boyfriend, so I never even considered it. And so what happened for her is this fantasy of the guy that she thought I was. She realized I was clueless. I was a beta male at the time. And she didn't want to teach me how to be a man, and that's why I got blown off. So back to the quote, feminine energy involves opening up to receive love, bonding, being soft and submissive, connecting, relationships, feelings, emotions, commitments, etc. So let's go through his email. He says, "Hey Corey, I recently sent you a friend of a friend email I needed advice on. I moved on since then, and I met a blonde bombshell in one of my classes. I got her number Tuesday night in class, and I called her that Saturday to set up a date following your guidelines." Well, I would have called her on like a Thursday. Instead of calling her on a weekend. Because think about it. If you're calling a girl right in the middle of a weekend to make plans, what does that tell her about your personal life? Especially if you have a tendency like this guy does to put a woman on a pedestal. So it's better to make dates in the middle of the week instead of on the weekend. Because when you call a girl you haven't even gone out with on a weekend, that tells her you got nothing going on socially, and you may not even have any friends. So, like I said, it's better, like in this particular, if you got her number on a Tuesday, I would have called her on a Thursday and said, "Hey, I'd love to get together sometime when you're free," and make the date. But it still worked out okay because he's been able to go out with her, and that tells me that she really likes him. So, the bottom line is, when the higher a woman's attraction level for you starts out, the more things you can fuck up before she recognizes you don't know what the hell you're doing, and then she ditches you. He says she called back within an hour and told me that she was free that night. I picked a time to meet, and I took her out doing a couple of different things. The night went well, and we made out at the end. Well, that's good. I didn't contact her from Sunday until Tuesday when I saw her in class. I then waited until Thursday to call and set another date for a Sunday, which was yesterday. That's pretty good. So a little bumpy there, but it worked out good. But one of the things I want to point out is, like, when you're this age and you don't have a lot of experience, thinking about sex happening, you're like, oh, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a month or two. But, the reality is, if you know what you're doing, you literally could seduce the woman the first night that you go out. And when you get really good, that's what will happen. You'll be having sex with the women that you go out with on the first night. Doesn't mean that she's a slut. It just means that you're fucking good. Give yourself a compliment. When you really like somebody and they really like you, there's no reason to hold back. I personally prefer it that way. I picked her up, and she even asked me if I didn't like to text. I assume because I was acting different. Yeah, because most guys, what are they be doing? Sending tons of messages. And that's one of the things I would do. I would call, this is before texting. When I was his age, I'd call women on the phone, and we would talk for sometimes an hour or two. And then usually she'd be the one to end it because she'd have to go somewhere. And I figured, all right, and I would literally try talking to a woman for 2 or 3 weeks at a time before I'd ever get around to asking her out. And by that point, it's like I get friend zoned. We went out again, did a couple of things, and I ended the night drinking some wine in her driveway, making out a few more times. Her sister was inside, and I don't think she felt comfortable inviting me in, and I didn't want to invite myself in. So that tells me not really thinking about the logistics of sex here. The idea is you've got to create an opportunity for sex to happen. You know, especially like this. Maybe she lives at home with her sister. Maybe her and her sister are roommates. But you got to think about that ahead of time. If you're going to go out on dates, schedule dates that are near where your place is. So when you're hanging out at that last place, you can say, hey, you want to get out of here and go back to my place and have a glass of champagne or have a bottle of wine. Well, who knows? Maybe he lives at home. I mean, I moved out when I was 21, so I had a place to go. And I had lots of friends that had their own places that when we would go on dates and stuff like that we have some alone time. But like I said, I didn't lose my virginity until I was 21. But you got to have a place where you can have some privacy, intimacy, and sex can happen. He says, my question is this. A couple of times during the second date, she mentioned that she wants a manly man, someone who is a man 110% of the time. Now, what do you think that means? Women help you when they like you. She's basically saying, dude, you need to be a little more masculine. You need to really go for it a little bit more. And that tells me he's still a little timid, a little shy, a little unsure of himself. And when you don't have a lot of experience, I mean, you're going to fumble your way through it. So what she's basically telling you is she wants you to make the move. She wants you to create an opportunity for sex to happen. In other words, this tells me that you're not completely being the leader 100% of the time. Another reason why I say to read the book 10 to 15 times, especially if you're this young and inexperienced. It'll really fill in your knowledge gap. So you can act like somebody who's got tons of experience even though you may have none. Remember, I did a video, it may have been 6 months ago at this point, called Women Who Make It Easy. And that particular guy, I think he was 21, 22, he was living out of his fucking car. And he was a musician, and he met this girl that he lost his virginity to while he was performing on the street. So I think it was his second or third date, he loses the virginity with her. I mean, he did exactly what I told him to do in the book. He read the book like 10, 15 times. He may have read it 20 times. I remember that particular story because it's been a while now. He read the book a lot. And so he was prepared. He also watched the video that I did, how men could have multiple orgasms, because he didn't want to blow his wad right away the first time he had sex with her, because that's kind of anticlimactic. You wait your whole life to have sex, and then you're like a two-pump chump. I mean, come on. That's kind of disappointing. But instead, he'd practice. So, I mean, he literally made love in the back seat of his car, because that's where he lived, and he took showers at his gym and everything, for 3 hours to this girl. And he did such a beautiful job, and it's just because he came off like a guy who had tons of experience, even though that was his first fucking time. Just because he read the book 10 to 15 times, and he was comfortable with his body, he followed what I taught in how men could have multiple orgasms. So for 3 hours, he fucked this girl in the back of his car. Think about that. She will remember that for life. And you know what? My memories, the first time I had it was weird, it was awkward, trying to put the condom on, slipping it in, is it in? It was like, oh man, I was drunk, my buddy's in the bed next to me, fucking one of her friends. It wasn't the nicest hotel. It was like, the girl was cute, but it was like, she wanted to lose her virginity as well. It's just, I'd much rather have a first time memory like the guy did in the video that I did, Women Who Make It Easy. But hey, you live and you learn, and it's nice that I could pass these things on to people who are much younger and have kick-ass memories like that. It makes it all worthwhile, because at the end of the day, the things you struggle with in life, the things you have the most difficulty, the more you fail, the more you try things, the more experience you get, the tougher you get, the more it shapes you, and the bigger the challenges are that you take on in the future that you're able to overcome. So even when you go through hardships, I found that hardships make you tough. They make you strong. They build your confidence. I confirmed this by saying someone who's in his masculine. He said, this made me believe I was not completely in mine. Bingo. She's a very feminine woman. Your advice is always respected by me. Well, like I said, the things that I see, and then he would, because I've answered emails of his in the past when he did email coaching with me, waiting, just like I was talking about in the beginning of the video, the situation I had with the girl from high school that she totally wanted to hook up with me, and I totally blew her fantasy of what she thought I was because I just didn't know what the fuck I was doing. But she believed that I did. She believed that I knew what I was doing just because I was so confident and comfortable with her. But I just perceived her as a friend, so I didn't think of her as a hot chick. And even though I had friends come out like, dude, she's so hot. I was like, well, she has a boyfriend. She's a buddy of mine. And that's always the way it was. And I had no idea that she had a crush on me for years. But, I mean, the bottom line is that she had a lot more experience in relationships, and that's why she blew me off, was for some other dude, and I never spoke to her again. And that was 24, 25 years ago. It sure would be nice if I'd had a great experience with her, but, she's married, she's lived, got kids, very happy. It is what it is. So, like I said, and back to the guy who wrote the email, it's the things I'm seeing here. You don't seem to be lining up a place where sex can happen. It's like you're depending upon her to invite you into her place, and then she's got the sister there, so you got cock blockers there. So you got to figure that shit out. Even if you get a little efficiency somewhere, it's that $500-600 a month, something like that, in a decent area that you can furnish. Get a fucking part-time job and make some money. Figure it out. So, like I said, read the book 10 to 15 times and keep practicing. Like I said, the things I pointed out, those are the only things that I really see that you're doing wrong at this point. And the fact that she mentions that, you still have a tendency to depend upon her to be the leader, waiting on her to tell you it's okay to kiss or to touch. It's like when the signals are there, when she's playing with her hair, when she's touching your arm, when her knee's touching yours, that's when you escalate. Or maybe you can do just like what the guy did in the video that I did, Women Who Make It Easy. Take her on a picnic somewhere. You can hang out and have some champagne at a park or somewhere, or someplace where you have some privacy, some intimacy. Hopefully you got dark tinted windows. And you can hook up in the backseat of your car. Maybe you have strawberries, whipped cream. You can feed each other in the back of the car and have a really, or maybe you go to the beach and you sit out at the beach. Maybe you pull the sunroof back a little bit so you can hear the waves crashing up on the beach, and you got nice dark tinted windows. And then kind of a secluded area, the parking lot. Nobody can really see what you're doing. You got some music playing. You can get it on in the back seat. I've had sex in my car. I mean, it's really cool to blow through toll plazas doing 80, 90 miles an hour getting a blowjob. I mean, I've done that numerous times in my life with girlfriends, and that's fun. Or getting a hand job when you're trying to drive down the road. And she's, ooh, ooh. I mean, why not? Those are great fucking memories to have. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.